Hello and welcome back. And in today's video, I'm talking about my winter 2024 through beginning of 2025 knitting plans. Welcome back. My name is Sarah, and I'm talking about my winter knitting plans in this video. So through December till the end of February is kind of the season of knitting I'm talking about and thinking about. I cannot believe it's already been another season past with fall pretty much over here in Colorado. At least we had our first snowstorm already, so I'm definitely feeling very wintry already. So I'm really excited to talk about what I'm planning on making for the next few months and talking about the inspiration I have for the next few months. It's doing these inspiration videos and planning videos has kind of expanded beyond just knitting as well. It's a nice chance for me to reflect for myself about what things I want to experience in this season. So it's not necessarily just making and knitting now. Like a lot of my inspiration is not directly knitting, but it's more about the vibes I want to create and how I can do that with my knitting. And so, as always, we'll start out with a little bit about my inspiration. And so the tagline I've written for this season is whimsical, safe, slow, and colorful. And yeah, I have had a very busy year between moving, traveling a lot, working has been busy. So lots of things have been really busy for me. And this season, especially, has been a little bit harder. I've had some family problems. Well, not problems, and I don't want to get into it too much, but there have just been some things that are a little bit more difficult. And, I think a lot of us right now are feeling a little bit sad, at least in the US. I don't want to get into anything political, and everyone's welcome here, but just I'm a little sad, and I know a lot of people are. And so I want to create a cozy season for myself that gives me the opportunity to slow down and relax and just find joy in small, simple things. And so I'm trying to do that through my knitting. I'm trying to do that through what I'm scheduling for myself and the other activities I bring into my life, the friends I see, all of that. I just want it to be whimsical, safe, slow, and colorful. So I have some inspiration images that I feel like encompass that. And so this first one here, just I don't know, something about wearing these bright colors in winter makes me feel really, really excited and feel that whimsy and safety almost of just in my bright pink out in a snowstorm is kind of how I want to feel this season. Or drinking lots of warm beverages, going to craft markets, being out in the snow, but not I'm not a skier anymore. I used to ski a lot, but I don't ski anymore. I don't really do any winter sports, but I want to get out in the elements a little bit more this season, bundle up, go on some nice winter snowy walks, and just enjoy what winter has to offer. Because I do love the peace of a snowstorm and like how quiet it is, especially right after it snows. Like walking around in that, it's one of the best feelings in the world. So I want to bring more of that feeling into my life, either actually doing that event or just thinking more about how to have that peace and like the joy of just looking out at a snowy field or walking through, and it's quiet, it's cold, it's just nice. It's just nice, and that's the feeling I want. And well, there's a few Christmas markets around me. I would love to hit some of those up this year. I also always have some goofier inspiration too. So, this little bear guy in bed with a cup of tea saying this couldn't get any better. Like, I want that vibe. I want to just be happy with the coziness and not getting out too much. And little goose survival guide, similar like goofy thing, but just want that cozy, simple, whimsical vibe and colorful. So this translates into my knitting as in I just would like to have pretty simple makes that are more oversized and cozy and have more color in them. So I want to bring more bright colors into my knitting this season. And there is a reason for that, a little bit broader than just this season, but I'll get into that soon. I have a couple makes we'll talk about. But yeah, just trying to be cozy and comfy and colorful and whimsical and bring some joy into a darker, slower season. So those are the hopes. And is that exactly transfer to knitting? No, but I think hopefully you see the like, I want brighter colors, I want simpler makes and less deadlines. I don't want to have very many knitting deadlines for the next few months. And so want to bring those kinds of vibes in and give myself space to go on these winter walks, think about accessories for a cozy winter walk. And yeah, that's the vibe for this season, for me at least. And so to accomplish this vibe for myself, I have 7 knitting plans, which is a lot of knitting plans. I keep saying I need to slow down, and then I come up with 7 knitting plans. But I do not have any obligated deadline knits for the next few months. I have 3 gift knits I want to make that are all smaller, but no sample knits, no test knits. I am a free woman once I finish this sample knit I'm currently working on, but I'm free to play around with what I want to work on a little bit more. So I think that this list is actually more accomplishable than some of my other knitting plan lists have been when I have these other sample knits lined up, because I don't have any sample knits lined up. And so I can enjoy knitting for myself. And so the 7 plans, we will start talking about them. So the first plan, and these aren't necessarily in the order of cast on, just in the order that I've written them down, or they're not in order of priority either. It's just I wrote them down in this order, and here they are. So the first plan I want to talk about is a hat that I'm planning on making, planning on designing it out of these 2 yarns. So this one's kind of a little bit messy, but these 2 yarns, these are both DK weight superwash merino yarns. This is a hand dyed, and this is Swish DK from Knit Picks. And this one's Round Mountain Fibers Willow DK in Blueberries in June. And so I want to make a nice hat for myself out of these. I want it to be a wide rib hat that kind of decreases into points of the rib at the top. But I want the brim to actually be in double knitting. And then I want to add a little patch of a blueberry. So I used to embroider a lot. And so I'm planning on making a little patch that kind of looks like a postage stamp of a little blueberry to embroider on, and so on to the double knit brim. And so I think that'll be really fun. I think that'll be like a nice palette cleanser project. Pretty simple, just a fun little design experiment for myself. And I love these colors. I think they're I don't normally go towards this many cool tones. Like there's a lot of blue and green in here, but I think that there's little dots of pink in it. And then with this like lavender purple, it's going to look really nice and be something that I really enjoy wearing and really keeps me warm. And I think that the double knit brim is going to be really nice because I have a pretty small head. And so a lot of hats don't fit me very well. And I like a tighter hat. So I think that the double knitting should squish it to my head a little bit more and hopefully be like a really comfortable hat for me. So I'm going to do that for myself first, and then we'll see. Maybe it will become another design, but I have that as my first plan to cast on when I'm looking for a little bit of a simpler but still engaging project. The next pattern I have in my knitting plans is the stripe pipe sweater, which I planned on making in fall. And it was kind of my one like flagship fall pattern. And then I had 3 sample knits. I did not have time. Unfortunately, I did not have time. And I actually didn't get all the yarn I needed until pretty much the very end of the month, the end of October. And so I was working on sample knits and it took me a while to get all the yarn. So I did not get it done in the fall, but I still really want this sweater. And I think that it can still be really nice for the season we're entering now of winter. So this is my color palette for a stripe pipe. and I still am planning on making it this season, and I think it'll be a fun project. I think I talked a lot about it before um, in my fall knitting plans, but I've got 3 shades of knitting for olive merino. This is dusty artichoke. This is copper. I have more of this too. This is dusty aqua. And then I have this Shiniko wool, which is a wool blend. I'm forgetting what exactly the blend is. I think it has Rambouillet though, but it's a blend from Salty Blonde Fibers. It is her prairie base, and it is in this nice honey color that I forget the name of, but it's beautiful. This is from a sample knit earlier this year. And then I also have this DK Superwash Merino half skein, so it's only 50 grams of the colorway Oak from Salty Blonde. So it's a nice brown. And then as my main color, I will hold Drops Daisy in the color 2. So I think I talked about this both in my last podcast and in my last knitting plans video a few months ago. So all to say, it's still a plan, and I think it's going to be such a cozy, like, I don't know, like, just watch a movie in it, or like I want to wear it, especially like I go to Pilates and yoga a lot and want to wear it to go to those and then take it off when I'm there. I think it's the perfect kind of throw over sweater. So I'm really excited to start on it, but I just haven't yet, but it's in my plans. So I'm really excited to start that one. And then another plan I have, this again, I talked about in my knitting podcast last, I think that was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now. Probably 2 weeks, but this is another design plan I have. So I am holding the Drops alpaca yarn. Why can't I remember the name of it? So this swatch is made by holding Drops Flora in the color Pistachio with Katya Autenea. It's one of their concepts yarns. In the colorway is 95 for Autenea, and it made this beautiful kind of marled-ish green fabric, and I want to do this kind of grid design. It's not broken rib. It looks similar to broken rib, but it's not. And I might try to modify it a little bit more to make the horizontal lines a little bit more prominent, but I want to make a drop shoulder cowl neck sweater out of this with some kind of like balloony sleeves. So I have that as a plan for this season as well. I know that I'm planning a lot, and I'm like, we'll see what exactly gets done, but I think that this would be a really nice, fun thing to wear going into spring as well. Like, I love wearing a green in March. That's my birthday, so maybe it'll be near the end of the season, so I can wear it around March when it's still quite cold in Colorado. We still got quite a few snowstorms, and so, yeah, I do want to do it sometime soon, though, because I think this would be a beautiful, fun make, and it's a really nice fabric. It's pretty dense with the gauge that I've chosen, and it feels like nice and stretchy, but it's not too, and it's like, it's got a weight to it, but it's not too heavy. It's not too fluffy. I think it's a really nice fabric. So I am excited to get started on that soon. My next plan is another plan that I had in the fall, which I did not get to, which is fine. It's fine. But that is my Triangulum blanket. And so I have tons of scraps in here that I want to use for my Triangulum blanket, which, by the way, this is a bag I got with my sheets. Pro tip, some of the best project bags come with sheets. Like, if you get from a nice brand, or even like, I think Target sells their sheets like this, but this is a bag from Quince. If you get sheets online, or like a nice sheet set, they normally come in a bag made of the same fabric of the sheets, and it makes a great product bag. So I clearly have a lot of sheets and clearly use them as project bags very frequently. But side tangent done. I have a lot of yarn picked out to make my Triangulum blanket with, which is a pattern that I've loved for a while. I specifically love people who've made it look like a quilt. So I'll have a picture of the project on Ravelry that has really inspired me because I want to do something similar. But this is a pattern by Ellie Jones. And yeah, there's a KAL version as well in the same pattern, which is nice. I love the blanket though, so I will 100% be making the blanket, and I'll be making it in a DK weight version. There's a fingering weight version as well. And I have a lot of fingering weight yarn, but I also have a lot of DK. And so to be able to use both, I decided I can just hold the fingering double. So Cat got to this, but it's still knittable. And yeah, I have lots and lots of colors here. And my plan with these colors is to kind of make a fade. It's not exactly a fade, but I have a lot of greens and then I have a lot of pinks. And then I have some colors that have both green and pink. So this is kind of like a minty green with little dots of like a raspberry pink. And this is a pink with white and green in it, or it's more a white with green and pink in it. But yeah, I have a lot of colors that are either green or pink or both. Here's another, like, it's got purple, green, pink, and white in it. And so my plan is to kind of start at one end with my deepest green in one corner and then do all my little quilt motifs, and then end in the other corner with my lightest pink. And so I am really excited about this plan. I'll grab the colors that I'm going to start and end with to just show you where we're going. So it'll start with this like kind of, I don't even know how to describe this color, but like a olivey green almost, like, yeah, I guess an olivey, or I don't know, chartreuse green. Is that it? I don't know. It's going to start with this like very yellowy green and end in the final corner with this very pinky variegated pink. And so we're going to go from those. And then I have a Knit Picks Bear base. They have a bear Highland wool that I will be using as my neutral color throughout. And so I am still really excited to start this, and I think that I want to work on it especially over Christmas, because my work gives us the week of Christmas off just completely. So I will have quite a few days off where I'm not traveling for Christmas this year, and especially after Christmas, Noah, my boyfriend, will be gone, my mom will be gone, my dad's not around Colorado anymore, and so I will have quite a bit of time to myself, which I'm honestly really looking forward to. And so I can sit down and work on my advent, or work on my Triangulum blanket and just play with little motifs, because I'm not going to be doing an advent pattern during the season, just because I feel like it's too much to keep on top of, to be opening a skein of yarn every day and knitting that skein of yarn. I do have an advent that's coming, and I am planning to knit it up soon, and it's the next plan. But I think that the Triangulum blanket will be a kind of a nice advent feeling project, where it's not like, it's still these kind of little chunks that you're putting together into a larger project, but it's not, the pressure of doing it daily, because it's not actually an advent. It's just when I have the time. I feel like that was a nice segue into my next pattern or project, which is an advent sweater I'm planning. So I got my first 25 skein advent this year. So I got it from the yarn dyers at Akami Yarns. They're based in Scotland, and it was called the Belonging Advent. And so I have been thinking about what I want to do with it, because it's a fade. I specifically really wanted a fade advent this year that's mostly tonals or neutral colors that just like lightly speckled, lightly variegated colors that make a nice fade together. And so that's what this advent is. And the theme is belonging. The main colors are kind of a sand color, a taupe, like almost that dusty artichoke color, a tan, a copper color and then like a deep purple color. And so it'll fade between those. And I want to make a sweater with my Advent. And so I'm planning on making a colorwork sweater. I saw last year What's Millie Making did a similar kind of colorwork sweater using her fading Advent from the Fiber Fox. So I want to do something similar. I didn't love the pattern that she used, and I've looked around quite a few places, and I actually next week will probably have a full video about planning for my Advent because I'm still kind of thinking it through. But I have looked around at a lot of different sweaters. I'm not keen totally on any of them as the perfect colorwork sweater for me for this Advent, and so I decided I probably will design that as well. And so I have a book of colorwork motifs, and I'm choosing which one I like the most to do that colorwork sweater. And then I will have to figure out what contrast color I want, which I probably will do after opening all the colors in the Advent. And then I can make a nice raglan. So I want it to have kind of a funnel neck. And then I want the raglan seams to be in my contrast color. And then I want the background of the colorwork to be in the Advent yarns that fade. And I want that contrast color, or the main, like the colorwork motif itself, to be in my contrast color, which will probably be some shade of blue, but we'll see exactly what once I'm able to open it and decide what will be the best contrast across all the different fades. And so I'm really excited about that idea, and I'm just kind of thinking about it right now, and we'll have more concrete ideas about it in February. But I think that it's really fun to talk about and think more about. So I probably will next week make a whole video all about my plans for my Advent, because I think it's probably helpful for a lot of other folks as well, because I know, like, I didn't really know what I could do with an Advent other than maybe a shawl. Like, there's lots of shawl patterns written, but if you want to make a sweater or something, it's like not as easily available to do that with an Advent. And so want to talk through that as well, to how you can maybe hack a lot of different patterns to make them into a color work or make them into an Advent pattern, what I'm thinking, and yeah, talk that through a little bit more. And because I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, so I think it would be fun. So yeah, that is another one of my plans, which will probably kick off in like early January once, you know, I've opened the entire Advent. So I've got 2 more plans left, and these 2 plans are both very exciting because they're connected to a knit along that Ash from Smash Knits and I are hosting together. So we're hosting a knit along from November 17th, today, when you're watching this, through February 17th, and it's called the Opposites Attract knit along, and it's all about choosing colors that you normally wouldn't knit with, that maybe you really admire, but you feel like maybe aren't the perfect color for you, or you've always just been nervous about knitting with that color or wearing a certain color. So this came about because both Ash and I always compliment each other on our knitting color palettes. Like she knits with a lot of really bright kind of neons and just brighter colors generally, like even periwinkle and things that are just very bright to me. And I knit with a lot of more muted shades, and I generally wear a lot more muted colors. Like, I'm not afraid of color, but I definitely go towards less saturated colors. And so we always just compliment each other's color palettes and say, that's so beautiful. Like, I'm so scared to knit with colors like that. And so we were talking about that and decided, like, hey, that would be honestly a really fun knit along to both knit things outside of our own color palettes and then broaden it as well. So to encourage anyone else to also knit something in a color maybe you always really admire, but you're always a little bit more nervous about knitting with. So I think it's going to be really, really fun. And so I have 2 plans for that knit along, and there will be more details on it in the caption. I will say it's November 17th through February 17th, so you've got 3 months to get in on this, KAL. It is WIPs welcome, so if you're, currently working on something, you're welcome to still include it in the knit along. We will be hosting it on Instagram, and so there's a hashtag which I'll have down below in in the bio. There will also be an Instagram post that will have more information. And so it'll be on Instagram where you can add the hashtag. We will also start an Instagram group chat so people can share things there or chat a little bit more in that group chat. And Ash and I will both be, sharing people's projects. We both have our own projects we're going to be working on for it. So I think it's going to be a really fun activity for the next few months, especially in the winter. I think it's the perfect time to experiment with different colors and just explore color more. Like, even if you are like Ash and your color palette's very, very bright already, I think it's a fun chance to just work with a different color, add something new to your wardrobe, and see how you like it. So it's not necessarily a, hey, go knit with the brightest color ever knit along. You will see me knitting with a lot of bright colors, but Ash will be knitting with the exact opposite. And so it's more about that, just exploring colors, expanding your palette, and getting more colors in your wardrobe that excite you. And maybe you're a little bit nervous about them. Like, I'm nervous about some of the neons I'll be knitting with, but I think that it's going to be really fun. So that's some details about the knit along. I hope that you'll join us. There will be more information, and Ash will also be talking about it on her channel. So her channel will be linked. I love Ash. I feel like I've talked about her so many different times, but I think that it's going to be a really fun few months. And so if you'd like to join, go check out Instagram for more. But I have 2 patterns I'm planning on knitting during this knit along. And so the first one is the Nora neck, which is a pattern by We Made Wardrobe. And I actually talked about this pattern not that long ago in the gift knitting video I made. And it's a dickie, a collar, a neck, whatever you call them, wherever you're based. I think they have a lot of different names, but just one of those like half sweater things that doesn't join at the underarm, so that you can put it on over, one layer to zip up in your coat. So it just provides a little bit extra warmth and can look nice. Like, if you just want to layer, like maybe you have a V-neck cardigan or something and want to look like you're wearing a sweater under or something, this is perfect for that, or a blazer, something like that. And so I have been wanting to make a dickie for a while, and I also have been wanting to really work with boucle for a little while. And so I actually ended up finding this boucle from Junk Yarn, which is a indie dyer that unfortunately is actually closing down. But she has a lot of yarn in stock right now, and so is selling all of the yarn that they currently have, and they're shipping out really quickly. And so I ordered this yarn yesterday, actually, and it will get here on Tuesday. So it's Saturday right now. So Friday to Tuesday for hand-dyed yarn is amazing. So I ordered the color Fashionista Barbie, which is this really fun white base with tons of little neon speckles and the pink and the blue. And I think there's some yellow in there. So I am really excited to work it up. I think it's going to be so fun. Not only is it this really fun texture for me, like I've worked with boucle once before, but it was for a sample knit, so I've never gotten to keep anything in boucle. And I love variegated boucles. Like, I don't think a lot of hand dyers do variegated colorways on boucle, but I love it. I think it's so fun. And so I'm really excited to play with both of those and play with this dickie to have like a fun, bright pop of color in a winter accessory. And I think starting and trying to use a new color in an accessory is going to be a little bit more approachable. And so I think that that's going to be really fun and nice. And yeah, I think it's just going to be fun. I'm really excited to knit it up and see all the fun speckles come to life. And the fact that it still has a neutral base of that white also makes me feel a little bit less intimidated by the colors, because it's still bright. Like, it's definitely got a lot of colors going on and it's bright, but there is still like a white base or a more neutral base. And so it's not like a 0 to 100 jump to go from, knitting like super saturated tones. Like, everything I've shown today is very saturated or desaturated. Like, these are very like lighter hues of colors, to go from that to like a full neon is a lot. And so I think that this is a good first step to see how I do and just enjoy this process of color, get a little dicky out of it as well. Like I realized actually I have a coat that is basically this blue color that is featured in the yarn. So it's this kind of like tealish blue. And it's gonna look so cute. Like it's a zip up puffer, but it doesn't have a hood. And so it's gonna be so cute to have the zip up puffer with this neck where it's kind of coordinated. And so I think that'll be really cute. I also have like a button up, one of those fancy like dad coats. They're not really called dad, but like a wool coat that buttons up, doesn't have a hood, and it's kind of got lapels so it stays open here. I think is perfect for a neck like this. And it's in like a light tan color. And so I think it'll be really fun with the neon poking out of the light tan uh, jacket. And so it'll be like kind of a fun play on what I typically wear as a very professional jacket to have like this fun neon and this fun texture with it. So I think it's been a really cool experiment with color, experiment with texture, and just something light to work on as well because I've been knitting a lot of complex projects. And so just knitting in boucle where you can't see any of the stitches. And so you can mess up quite a bit without it being a problem, and making a smaller piece that's just knit stitch is going to be really lovely. So I'm stoked for it. And my final plan for winter is something I'm really excited about as well. So this is also for the knit along, and I'm going to be making the Snowy Forest sweater, which is a pattern by Midori Hirose. And it's this beautiful cabled sweater with horseshoe cables that are just getting larger and larger through a circular yoke. And so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sweater. I've wanted to make this for quite a while. I think that it just looks comfy and classic and just looks great. And I'm going to be knitting it out of a pretty hot pink color. And so the color I'm knitting it with is called The Archer by Paisley Knits. So it's from Paisley Knits Taylor Swift collection. And I sample knit for Paisley Knit, and so was able to get the majority of this for compensation for sample knitting. I did have to pay for some of it just because of the quantity of yarn I needed, but the majority of it was compensated. It wasn't gifted. I did, work for it, but in all transparency. But yeah, it's a beautiful, super bright pink. Like it almost looks glowing. And so I think having like a super, super bright pink cabled sweater is going to be so fun. Like I was talking to my mom about this pattern and this idea, and she was saying like, oh yeah, in the dead of February or the dead of January where it's just miserable out in Colorado, like it's just gray and icky, like a bright, bright pink sweater is going to be awesome. And so I'm really, really excited about this make. I would be casting it on as soon as the knit along started if I had the yarn yet, but it's a pre-order. So I ordered it about a month ago now, a little more than a month ago, and it'll get here mid-December, most likely, maybe even January. So I wanted to start the knit along with you all, and so decided to also make the Nora neck, which I think is a really great decision because it's a thing I've been wanting, and I get to play with texture, get to play with color, get to dip my toes in with that. But then the star of the show for me will be a few months into the knit along when I work on my Snowy Forest in a bright, bright pink. And so super excited for all of my plans for this season. And I'm really interested to hear what all of your plans are. If you do have some defined plans, if you don't have defined plans, like how are you feeling about this season of knitting? Do you want to go slower, have it be cozy? Are you ready to hit the ground running? Are you trying to look like a ballerina? I know that was my knitting inspiration last year. So just let me know what you're thinking about for this season as far as what vibes you want to bring in, what aesthetics are inspiring you, or what looks are inspiring you, what colors, what silhouettes, like whatever you have in your mind for what you want to work on this season. I'd love to hear it. It's always so interesting hearing your plans as well. And so I think I'll wrap it up there. if you are interested in the knit along, there will be details down below, and you can follow along on Instagram. Both Ash and I will be posting about it, so I'll have both our Instagrams linked below as well, to learn more about it, because I think it's going to be really, really fun. And so I hope that people will join us, because I mean, Ash and I will have a great time with ourselves. Like, the two of us are going to have a great time, but I really hope that others join us, because I think it would be perfect, a really fun thing to do together. So look for more details on that. And I'm going to sign off now. I'm kind of rambling. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week. All right, bye.